I'm doing the intro. It's another
You
hot
do
day.
it.
It's like, the sky is blue, grass is green, and it's another hot
Birds
day.
are
Because
falling
we're
from
on
the sky.
this side of the fence of the bridge. Or
I
however
looked,
it goes.
it's like 100 and... Yesterday it's like 105 Fahrenheit. That was the temperature.
I saw some report that Marble Bar was just over 50. Like the birds were falling out of the sky. It was
So it'd be like 120 something.
We're continuing our series on aerospace for BattleTech.
Yes, we are. We're going to do specifically some dropship stuff, right?
Correct. So we had a look at fighters, and we've had a little battle with them, and you sort of see where they fit into the picture for like space combat. Dropships are quite interesting and
Important.
important indeed.
Yes.
That's right.
So let's give it a swoosh, and we'll just call it dropships and see where it takes us.
That's it.
Okay. Swoosh.
This is the technical readout 3057 original print, going back a bit.
Nice, yeah.
But this talks about all like jump ships and warships, things like that. But there is a little introduction about dropships.
Ooh.
Okay, so
Reading.
keep in mind that this one came out when the clan invasion was sort of just kicked over. Right? So the clans had arrived, and so they're talking about how things were to how things are now. So that sort of year, so 30, 55-ish and whatever else.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Because it says 57 there. So dropships. So dropships form the first link in the chain of interstellar travel. These venerable craft transport mechs, vehicles, troops, and material from orbit to planetary battlefields. These vessels also mount heavy arsenals, which make them equally devastating on land, in the atmosphere, and in space. And for this reason, dropships are among the most prized assets of any military force. And in recent years, dropships have also become prime targets. Now, a lot of that, you have to think about the clans, the different sort of history for them and how society was and things like that. They don't just look at dropships as that sort of thing. They're very military minded. So when we start talking about the clan dropships, is like, prepare to wet yourself.
Yeah, some of their assault dropships
they're
are
just horrid.
rude.
but dropships have primarily, they travel from, like your jump ships, which go into planetary system and then ferry backwards and forwards. And they're also used for, not just military things, it's your transports, I mean, you guys get onto a plane and travel to another continent, that's essentially the same thing, they have civilian ones.
They're basically your base level transport system because you need the jump ships to go from planet to planet, star to star, but the only way to get from the planet up to the dropship or up to the jump ship is one of these.
Through the dropships.
You've got to be able to get on the planet, get the stuff, and get off the planet again, and you can't do that in a jump ship. So
I think for many units, they actually become like a home away from home. I mean, anyone who's watched any sort of sci-fi television series or movie, like Serenity and things like that, that's essentially a little dropship, transported dropship that they were on.
I think that'd probably class as a leopard, wouldn't it? Really?
I don't know.
I think
even one of those. Actually, it might just be like small craft.
Yeah, that too.
I don't know. Anyway, but that sort of thing. Yeah, transports whatever you want.
Yeah. And is it the Argo? We're in the Harebrained Schemes computer one.
Yeah.
It's basically where that mercenary group lives out. And the first time I built the Dogs of War back then, I think I had an Overlord. It might have been a Union that I was using, and that was basically where they were based from. Sort of thing. So they didn't have to have a planet of origin or anything, which is cool. But you can fit a lot of stuff because small dropships weigh anywhere from 200 to 2,499 tons. Nothing small weighs 2,499 tons. Mediums go from 2,500 to 9,999, and large anywhere from 10,000 up to 100,000. Military and combat dropships will weigh 20,000 tons or less. So this is a combat vehicle versus support vehicle kind of argument. The support vehicles aren't as good in combat, but they can get bigger.
Yeah.
And it's the same with dropships. So that if you want the combat type fortification, structural reinforcement, all that sort of stuff, your weight has like a top limit. So that's about 20,000 tons for military ones. But yeah, just a quick aside.
I mean, that's still a lot of guns if you wanted to go
still a lot
full
of guns.
combat. But yeah, as you'll find that a lot of the dropships that we'll be talking about in the series, most of them are for like a combined arms or they'll have a specific thing and they go into detail about it, specific task that it's designed for.
So the Overlord, which is the one that I've got in front of me here, is 9,700 tons. So it technically classes as a medium. Just bear that in mind.
Yeah.
The Overlord, with its dozens and dozens and dozens of weapons, it's full. Was that a regiment? 36 is a regiment, isn't it?
The Overlord? No, it carries a battalion.
Battalion, right.
36.
Okay. Yeah, 36. It's 3, what's the names? Yeah. 3 regiments. Yeah. Is a battalion. That's right.
3 companies.
3 companies.
3 companies. Lance, company,
it's early
battalion,
in the morning, okay?
We went and banged on his door in the trailer and we got him up early. He normally wakes up early, but it's the weekend, so it just...
So it's 36 mechs, okay? It can carry 36 mechs, 6 fighters, and, 132 tons of cargo?
Yeah.
So, yeah. And that's a medium. You can basically double that to get a combat-ready heavy.
So a lot of the campaign books and things like that, they talk about how much cargo space you need for certain things, for supplies for however many people you've got and supplies for the time you're going to be away. So you will find that a lot of these, especially like those ones, the spheroid, which is like a roundish or even egg shape, as opposed to the aerodynes, which are usually a little bit smaller and
like
lighter.
a big chunky ship.
Yeah.
Like a aerospace fighter, but
bigger. But they'll all, and they sort of, they're pretty cool. But they basically, depending on what sort of mission they've got. But a lot of them are designed to sort of be a little bit self-sufficient to a degree, depending on what it is.
So I think most of them have like MASH facilities and crew quarters and all of that sort of stuff for pits, and they'll have repair bays and all that sort of thing. Yeah. And almost all of them will have some sort of cargo space, so you can fit food and supplies and things in there.
Yeah.
Which is really, really cool, especially if you're doing a long-term campaign type thing and you want to force people that are in the game to think about that sort of stuff, to actually have to try and, like, we've got 50 tons of food left. It's only going to last us X amount of months. We better get a job so we can, buy more food.
So yeah, just everyone's worried about like backup weapons and spare ammo and things like that. Whereas mercs are like, what are we going to eat?
Yeah, what are we going to eat? How do we pay our
breathe
techs?
in space and stuff like that?
How do we pay our techs? How do we keep buying Act 20 shells?
But I mean, that's also another thing too. Depending on how the dropship was designed, it's who it's catered to, who would actually benefit from it. I mean, back before the clans arrived, I mean, for you to find anything that wasn't like a leopard class or a union class, even unions were a little bit hard to find.
Yeah.
And that carries like a company worth of mechs and like 4 or 6
something like that, yeah.
Or something like that, but it's...
There was one I found one time while I'm perusing through Sana and Master Unit List and all that, that was like the original dropship that they built, like one of the first ones that was ever like designed and stuff, and it was basically just an infantry carrier. So it had a lot of cargo space and space for a whole bunch of like military personnel to get on board, and then it was pretty much just a big shuttle that would go up to the dropship, up to the jump ship, and then come back down to another planet, and your invading like infantry would be able to come out and do stuff. And there was a whole heap of cargo there for them to take extra ammo and support weapons and food and supplies and things like that. And that was basically all it was.
Yeah.
I think it had like half a dozen machine guns on it or something. It didn't even have much in the way of weaponry.
Right. So it would rely on its escorts, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
Fighters and things like that.
I think so, yeah.
Which is, I mean, that was sort of, it still is standard practice.
Basically,
if you see just a dropship flying around, you'd want to be careful because it's probably got some friends.
Yeah.
So, what are the advantages of dropships over like the standard fighters. So we had a look at fighters and things like that. Probably one of the major things, because they have a larger crew, you've got sort of better construction, better technology and things like that, which separate compartments within the command and control allowed them, if they to do evade, they can still shoot weapons.
Yes.
You've got more crew operating their individual things. So, and that alone is actually quite good.
Yeah.
Because like with fighters, it's like if you evade, you're giving up all your shooting. You know?
Yeah, you can't shoot and evade at the same time with a aerospace fighter, but you can with a dropship.
I know you can't sort of evade or do anything if you're trying to go through atmosphere. That's a bit of a no-no.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't do anything going through atmosphere. I'd be taking it very, very slowly and carefully from some of the numbers and damage amounts and things that you're rocking if you screw it up. That's, it's not worth it. Do that nice and careful.
So one of the other benefits actually, which is a pretty big one, because it's one thing that I noticed when we were doing our fighters, that there are blank spots, blind spots for shooting.
Oh, and they're firing arcs, yes.
That's right, with the firing arcs, because with fighters, you're firing sort of nose, left and right wing and aft,
Left
like
and right
that.
wing arc,
But
yeah.
when you're talking about your dropships, because they're so much bigger, they have extra areas. So they have like, four left and aft left. So you won't have this blind spot, this back here, because there's an actual dedicated bay
Space,
area that
yeah.
you can put weapons and things like that on there. So you've got aft, so straight aft, so straight nose forward, but you can put guns all the way around it, and it doesn't matter whether it's an aerodyne or a spheroid, as far as I can tell. Fighters, no, it is. So the spheroids are the ones.
Yeah, the aerodyne ones have the same
still have
basically
that
as
restriction.
as that.
Interesting.
I
There
think
you
when
go.
you get them on the ground, it changes a bit.
You've got full left side and nose. That's for your incoming shots, but I don't know.
Yeah,
They still have a
I
front
think
arc.
Yeah, I think it might be just the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So your spheroids, they're a lot bigger. They're sort of a bit more clumsy in atmosphere. We did talk about it in the earlier videos, talking about like the movement types and what the restrictions are and how they go.
So they can do the hover thing and not
That's right.
dropping gravity
Not
sort of thing, which is actually really good.
It is.
But they aren't as maneuverable as the aerodynes.
No.
But they can shoot everywhere. As long as you put at least one weapon in each of those arcs, you've got full coverage of retaliatory strikes.
But at least but in space it doesn't matter, because your spheroids and your aerodynes, they're like, as far as operating in space, they're set up okay. It's only once you hit like a gravity that your aerodynes get the advantage. But that's in space. That's gold to be able to shoot in every direction.
Yeah.
That's the same thing as the warships, but a lot bigger. A lot bigger.
Yeah. I think once you hit the ground, you just lose the aft and the nose, but I'm not sure. I'd have to look that up. But it's just got better coverage.
Yeah,
weapons.
better coverage, which is good, because if you're transporting your forces to go in to battle,
Yeah.
you want to make sure that they're
you
well
want to protect
protected,
them.
and that was their purpose. So yeah, I mean, we will go into more about it, because we want to sort of do some combat or whatever, to be able to see how that works as well. When we go into atmosphere, these guys have bay doors and things like that for loading and unloading, and that can be a factor.
There's rules
as well.
around how many things you're allowed to take out of each door at a time, and rolls you have to make if you go above that, and all sorts of stuff. It's really cool.
Yeah, and we are going to talk about for both the clans and Inner Sphere, which will be like your Star League era stuff as well. We will talk about some different dropships and sort of why they were so popular. It's not always for a good reason, but if it does the job, I suppose. But yeah, so that's something else that we'll be doing as continuing this series. If you've watched the other videos of the space combat for the fighters and what we talked about before, that should give you an idea. But yeah, I think once we actually start talking about the individual models and things like that, some of the designs, we'll go into a bit of detail with some rules as well. That'd be helpful.
Big chunky boys out there.
Yeah. But that's it. So that's introduction to dropships in our aerospace series.
And reverse swoosh.
Reverse whoosh. Thank you very much. We'll see you in the next video.
Bye, guys.